Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sage Business Cloud Accounting Software online lecture series. Last session, we have started supplier module. We created suppliers. Today, we will start from supplier transactions. Go to suppliers, transactions. You can do following transactions: supplier purchase orders, supplier invoices, supplier returns, supplier payments, allocate payments, supplier adjustments, and tax adjustments. Okay. First, we will start from supplier purchase orders. Now, when you are purchasing goods, sometimes before purchase, you may send purchase orders to your suppliers. Sometimes you may not send purchase orders and you will directly purchase from your suppliers. Now, if you are sending purchase orders, you can start from supplier purchase orders. You can go to suppliers, transactions, select supplier purchase orders. After that, click add purchase order. From here, you can select your supplier. After you select your supplier, system will display supplier details, supplier balance, supplier tax number, supplier credit limit, supplier address. You can view. Next, you can select the date. If you enter today, system will display current date. And you can view this document number. System will automatically generate this number. You can set document numbers from company settings and documents and statements. Next, you can select items. Which you are going to order. You can enter quantity and price. And if that item is VAT item, you can select the tax rate. And if customer supplier giving credit, discount, you can enter discount percentage or discount amount. After that, you can save your purchase order. Okay. You can select your supplier from this supplier drop-down menu. You can select date. You can select item. Description will automatically come to the screen. You can enter quantity, enter purchase price, and you can, if that item, VAT item, you can select tax rate. If supplier giving discount, you can enter the discount percentage or discount amount. System will calculate totals and you can save this purchase order. Okay, we will discuss additional features in this purchase order. Now, when you are creating your suppliers, you can go to supplier list, suppliers, list of suppliers. You can search that supplier. Now, this is our supplier. We have that supplier has given 500,000 credit limit. So that credit limit will display here. And we have entered supplier tax number, postal address. Those details will display here. Next, we have entered supplier credit period 30 days. Therefore, system will calculate this date and delivery date. Normally, it's calculate 30 days because we have entered at the 30 days credit period. Next, there's a default discount percentage. We have entered 25% discount when we are creating the supplier. Therefore, this discount percentage will display as default discount. If you want to change this, you can change the discount percentage. Next, this document number. You can set document numbers from company, change company settings, and from document and statements, you can set your document numbers. And if you have different purchase order layouts, you can select from here. Right. After that, you can select your items. You can select items and you can enter quantity. Then system will calculate exclusive amount, total amount, tax amount, and totals. Now, when you are enter purchase orders, sometimes your suppliers may give discount for you. Okay, if they are giving discount for all items, you can enter discount percentage in this header. Okay, for an example, for all 3 items, if supplier giving 10% discount, you can enter discount percentage here. Okay, or if you want, you can enter discount percentage in each line. Sometimes your supplier is giving different discount rates for different items. Now, for an example, first item, they will give 5% discount. Next one, 20% discount. And this item, 10% discount. If the supplier giving different discount rates, you can enter that discount rates in this line items. Sometimes that supplier is giving discount as an amount. Okay? They will not give as a percentage, they will give as an amount. In that case, you can enter discount in this discount column. Okay, like that, you can enter either discount percentage or discount amount. However, even though you enter discount percentage, system will calculate discount amount, or if you enter discount amount, system will calculate discount percentage. Okay? And here you can see use inclusive amounts tick box available. If you tick this tick box, system will display inclusive price, that is with tax amount. If you untick this option, system will display exclusive price, that is without tax amount. You can add lines by clicking this plus mark, and if you want to remove any line, you can delete that line by clicking this red color button. Furthermore, if you want to add include any notes for this item, by clicking this note button, you can add note. Now, for an example, if you want to include any notes for this item, deliver on this date, or if you want to specify any requirement in this item, you can mention here. Okay. Then it will display on your purchase order. if you enter any note here, this color will change to blue color. Okay. Right. Next, you can see this default message. You can set this default message from company settings and document messages. If you set any document message, now here we have set please deliver under purchase order. So therefore, this message will display here. If you want to change, you can change from here. Okay, right. Okay. Next, if you want to add more messages, sometimes if you have different locations, you want to mention deliver to this address. So you can add few more document messages, and you can select that document message. Like this, you can set document messages. You can click this document message link and click add message. Enter description for that message, and you can set the message. After that, you can select that document message. Okay, right. Next, you can see these totals and tax amount and grand total. We'll save this. Right. Next, you can email this purchase order, or you can print purchase order, and you can save and click create a new sales purchase order. Okay. You will enter another supplier purchase order. Now, after you select any supplier, you can see that this button will, or this link will activate. Use last purchase order detail. If you select any supplier, this use last purchase order detail link will be available. If you want to include last purchase order details, you can click here. Okay. Then system will display last purchase order details. Then you don't want to enter again, system will display last purchase order details. If you want to change, you can change, and you can process this purchase order. Okay, next, there are a few options. If you want, you can link these analysis codes or your department, cost centers, jobs, projects, area-wise. You can link by clicking here, and you can link that analysis code to your purchase order. You'll change this price and you'll save. Right. After you enter your purchase orders, you can view your purchase orders from this supplier purchase orders grid. You can view supplier name, document number, order number, date. These details you can view, and you can view how many purchase orders you have entered. Next, there are few options. If you want to search, you can search purchase orders. And if you want to filter, you can filter. Or if you want to sort by multi-column, you can sort. And can export these details to CSV file. And if you want to customize this grid by clicking this gear button, you can customize. Okay. You can tick required column, and if you want to remove any column, you can untick that column. And you can sort this grid by clicking these headings. You can sort by ascending or descending order. And you can see that some status available: pending, overdue, invoiced. And cancelled, like that. Status will available. Now, if you enter any purchase order and still not delivery date reached, it will display as pending. And after you enter any purchase order that delivery date exceeded, it will change to, status will change to overdue. And after you enter purchase order, if supplier delivered good and delivered the invoice, you can convert that purchase order to an invoice. In that case, the status will change to invoice. And after you send purchase order, due to any reason, sometimes due to unavailability of goods, that supplier may cancel your order. In that case, you can cancel that order and status will change to cancel. Right. Next, you can see some buttons available here. If you tick any purchase order, these buttons will activate. Okay, if you want to print more than one purchase order at a time, you can tick those purchase orders and you can print. Or if you want to delete, you can delete, or you can change status. Okay, you can update status from here. Next, from actions, you can preview this purchase order, or you can print, email, edit, delete, status update. And if you want to convert this purchase order to an invoice, you can select this, create invoice. Or if you want to copy this purchase order, you can copy this purchase order. Or if you want to view history, you can view history. And also inside this purchase order also, there are some options. First, purchase order history. You can view that purchase order history, created, edited, details of this purchase order, the user created this purchase order, date, those order history you can view from here. Next, show user defined fields. If you want to add more details to this purchase order, you can use these user defined fields. Next, document attachments. If you want to add any documents, by clicking this add attachment, you can attach documents. You can add up to 2 MB attachments and maximum 5 attachments. Next, document notes. If you want to enter any document note, you can enter here. After that, it will display in the dashboard. You can set an action date and enter note. On the action date, system will display that document note on the dashboard. Next, you can convert the status to confirm, cancel, invoiced, or create invoice. And if you want, copy this purchase order. Okay. By clicking this copy purchase order, you can copy the purchase order. Okay, like that, we can create purchase orders. If you add any document note or attachment, you can check from here. The color will change to orange if you add any note or if you add any attachment. Okay, next we will move to supplier invoices. Go to suppliers, transactions, supplier invoices. Okay, now there are two methods you can enter supplier invoices. First one, go to supplier orders, purchase orders, and you can convert your purchase order to an invoice. By clicking these actions and select create invoice, and you can convert that purchase order to an invoice. Okay, then you don't want to enter any details. System will fill all details based on your supplier purchase order. System will select supplier, tax numbers, address, dates, then invoice details, line details. System will fill. Okay, if everything is okay, you can save, or if you want to do any modification, you can do that modifications and you can save the invoice. Right, next method is you can go to suppliers, transactions, select supplier invoice, and click add supplier invoice. Now here you can select supplier, and system will display that supplier balance, supplier credit limit, tax number, address. Those details will fill by the system. In addition to that, if supplier giving credit period, system will display this due date. And when you are creating, if you have add any default discount, system will display the default discount percentage. Now, if you have entered any purchase orders, you haven't converted to that invoice, you can convert from here. You can select that purchase order and you can convert to invoice. So you don't want to again enter that item details. System will populate that details to the screen. After that, you can save this supplier invoice. Or if you want to add include assume if you haven't entered any purchase order, you are directly purchase without purchase order. In that case, you can go to suppliers, transactions, supplier invoice, and you can enter fresh supplier invoice. Okay, you can select items. Here also, when you are purchasing items, system will display what are the available quantity and reserved quantity. Okay, after that, you can save this supplier invoice. Here also, if you are purchasing for any projects or department, you can select that department. And if you want, you can display as inclusive amount. And if you want to enter any discount percentage or discount amount, you can add here. And you can add document notes, line item notes. And here you can add any message if you want. Okay. After that, you can save this supplier invoice. Now, when you are enter that supplier purchase orders, there's no any accounting transactions. Okay. When you enter purchase orders, there's no any accounting transactions. It's just a document. However, when you enter supplier invoices, there may be accounting transactions that your inventory will debit and your trade payables will credit. Okay, when you enter supplier invoices, your inventory will debit and trade payables will credit. Okay, right. Next, now assume when you are purchasing these goods from overseas, and when you are purchasing, there may be clearing charges, insurance charges, and transport charges apply for this item. Okay, and also you want to add those additional expenses to this item. Okay. In that case, if you have any additional charges, you can add those additional charges by clicking this add additional cost. Okay, if you have any additional charges like clearing charges, transport charges, insurance charges, like that, you can add those additional charges to these items. Okay, you can click add additional cost, and then the screen will display. From here, you can select that your additional cost suppliers. You can enter date, description. You can enter supplier invoice number. And you can enter amount. Okay. After that, you can see this additional cost field entitled for this item. Okay. Right. Now, here we have entered only one item. Now, assume if you have entered two items, more than one item, here this additional cost will add based on the value of that items. Okay. Now, first items, change this. Okay. Now, first item total value is 50,000. Second item value is 10,000. So our additional charges is 12,000. Based on these values, total values, system will allocate that additional charges to these items. Okay, we have total 12,000 additional charges, and system will allocate those additional charges to these two items. Okay. And when you add any additional charges, it will add to these items, and item average cost will increase. Okay. If you have more than more additional charges, you can add that. Okay, now you can see that additional cost increased to 25,000. This is because total additional charges is 30,000. This item's exclusive amount is 50,000. Then system will divide this 30,000 by 60,000 and into multiply by 50,000. Okay, like that. If you have any additional cost, you can add that additional cost. Okay. After that, you can save this supplier invoice. And also, one important thing, when you enter supplier invoice, you need to enter that supplier invoice number. If you haven't entered any supplier invoice number, you cannot save that supplier invoice. Okay, therefore, you need to enter this supplier invoice number. Furthermore, now assume you have foreign suppliers. Now, if you select any foreign supplier, system will display that details in supplier's currency. That's supplier balance, supplier credit limit, and when you select any item, it will display in supplier's currency. Okay. And also, you can view the exchange rate. If you want to change this exchange rate by clicking this change rate button, you can change the exchange rate. And you can save this supplier invoice. Okay. After you enter supplier invoices, you can view that supplier invoices here from this grid. And here also you can customize this grid. You can tick required columns, and if you want to untick, remove any column, you can untick that column. Next, you can filter that supply invoices, and you can search supply invoices. And you can see that some invoices, supply invoices, there's a tick box, but some supply invoices tick box not available, because these are additional cost invoices. These are that supply invoices. Okay, additional invoices, additional cost invoices, tick boxes not available. And also you can view number of invoices from here. And from status, you can view now there are few status: unpaid, paid, overdue, partially paid. Now unpaid is you have purchased items, but you haven't paid for that supplier. Partially paid is you have paid part amount for that invoice, and you can see this total is 375,000. Amount due is 10,000. That is because we have paid partially, or we have paid some amount to that invoice. Therefore, that status will change to partially paid. And if you have paid for this invoice, status will change to paid, and amount due is 0. Okay. Next, overdue. Overdue is you haven't paid and your credit period also exceeded. In that case, the status will change to overdue. Right, here also you can view that invoice options. You can view invoice history. You can view user-defined fields. You can attach documents. You can add notes to this supply invoice. And if you want, you can add an anticipated payment date, and this will add to your cash flow statement. And if you want, you can create a supply return for this supply invoice, or you can return and re-invoice. And if you want to create payment, you can create payment for this invoice. And if you want to copy this supplier invoice, you can copy the supplier invoice. Okay, this way we can enter supplier invoice. Okay, next we will move to supplier returns. Now we have enter supplier purchase order, and we have ordered goods, supplier delivered goods to us. We have entered supplier invoice. Now we have seen that some items has damage or expired. Therefore, we need to we need to return that goods. If you want to return goods, you can enter supplier returns. Go to suppliers, transactions, supplier returns, click add supplier return. Now you can enter supplier return from here. You can select supplier. You can select return goods from here. You can enter quantity, and you can save this supplier return. Okay, you can select supplier. You can select items and enter quantity, amount, and you can save this supplier return. Okay. Furthermore, there are another options. You can enter supplier invoice, supplier return. You can go to suppliers, transactions, and supplier invoice. From here, you can convert that supplier invoice to an supplier return. Okay, go to click actions and select this create supplier return, and you can enter supplier return. And select another invoice, actions, select create supplier return. If you convert that your supplier invoice to supplier return, you don't want to enter that supplier return details. System will fill supplier name, document numbers or supplier reference number from invoice, and items system will select. After that, you can save this supplier return. Okay, you can convert your supplier invoice to an supplier return. Okay. Now here also, now sometimes you may return all goods, or sometimes you may return only few items. Now here we have purchased 100,000 items, therefore system will display here. However, we are returning only 10 items. If you are returning only 10, you can change this quantity to 10, and if you don't return this second item, you can delete that second item. Okay, now you are returning only 10 quantities, therefore you can enter 10 and you can process this supplier return. There's another method. You can go to suppliers, transactions, supplier returns, add supplier return, select the supplier, and from here, this from invoice, you can select your supplier invoices. Then it will display here, and you can process this supplier return. Here also, if you want to edit these items, you can edit and process or save this supplier return. Okay, there are three methods. You can convert supplier invoice to supplier return, or you can select supplier, and from invoice you can select supplier invoice and you can convert to supplier return, or you can enter fresh supplier return. Okay, like that you can enter supplier returns. However, now if you are returning all goods, now for an example, you have started system on 1st of January 2021. However, that goods you purchase before that period, okay, so 2020, in that case, that supplier invoices not available in the system. Okay, you purchased that goods in 2020, you have started this system in 2021, therefore that previous that supplier invoices not available in the system. In that case, you cannot convert that supplier invoice to supplier return. You need to enter supplier return as a fresh supplier return. Okay, after that you can save this supplier return. Okay, let's discuss accounting transactions. Now, when you enter supplier returns, your trade payables will debit and your inventory will credit. Okay, your trade payable will debit and your inventory will credit. Your trade payable debit, inventory credit. Okay, your trade payable will decrease and your inventory also decrease. Here also you can select the departments, and from options you can view the history and you can view your user defined fields, and you can add document notes. If you want to re-invoice, you can re-invoice, or if you want, you can copy the sales return. Right, after you enter supplier returns, you can view that supplier returns from here. You can view number of supplier returns, and you can customize this grid by clicking this gear button. Click customize grid, and you can tick required columns, and if you want to remove any column, you can untick. You can search supplier returns. You can filter supplier returns. And if you want to print any supplier returns, you can print from here. And from actions, you can preview, you can print, you can edit this supplier return. And if you want to re-invoice, you can re-invoice, or you can copy supplier return and you can view history of this supplier returns. Okay, like that, you can enter supplier returns. Okay, next we will move to supplier payments. Now we have entered supplier purchase orders, we have entered supplier invoices, we have entered supplier returns. Now we are going to enter supplier payments. Okay, now when we are paying for our suppliers, we can enter supplier payments. Go to suppliers, transactions, supplier payments, and click add supplier payment. Okay, from here, supplier drop down menu, we can select our suppliers. After we select suppliers, system will display that supply outstanding invoices, unpaid invoices. You can tick that supply invoice you are going to pay, then this payment amount will calculate. You can see this amount will increase. Or if you are paying any amount, you can enter that payment amount here. Okay, and one important thing now, when you are creating your suppliers, you can tick this. There's option auto allocate payments to oldest invoice. Okay, auto allocate payments to oldest invoice. If you tick this option, system will allocate your payment to oldest invoice. Okay, if you tick this option, system will allocate that payment to oldest invoices. Now, if you untick, and we will enter amount here. Now you can see that payment allocated to oldest invoices. If you want to change, you can change from here, or you can continue with the same selection. Next, you can enter that payment method. You can select, there are 4 methods available: cash, check, credit card, EFT. EFT is electronic fund transfer. And if that supplier paying by check or credit card or any other bank transfers, you can enter the reference here. If you want, you can enter check number, and that bank account you can select. Now, when you are creating your bank accounts, you can set a default bank account. If you set any default bank account, that bank account will display here. And you can enter supplier, that payment description, and comment payment date. Okay, and when you are creating bank accounts, you can set default payment method. Now, this is our default payment bank. Therefore, this bank will display as a bank account. And in this bank also, we have set check as default payment method. Therefore, check will display here. If you want to change, you can change that payment method. After that, if you want to, you can select your analysis codes from here by clicking this analysis code link. And you can process an email detail or summary. Actually, there are two options: process email and detail and summary. If you select summary, system will display summary. Sorry. If you select details, system will display that invoice details. Invoice date, invoice number, supplier reference amount. And if you select summary, system will only display that transaction amount. Okay. And also, Now, sometimes your suppliers will give early settlement discounts. Okay. Now, for an example, if you have 30 days credit period, however, you will pay early. In that case, supplier will give uh, discount amount. So that discount amount you can enter here. You can see there's a discount column. You can enter your discount that after enter your invoices. If supplier giving additional discount, you can enter that discounts here. Okay. And also if you have any foreign suppliers, when you enter that foreign supplier payments, you can view the exchange rate, supplier's currency, and local currency. Okay, you can view that exchange rate, supplier's currency, and local currency. If you want to change this, you can change the exchange rate. Okay, there are two options available: latest exchange rate, or you can select new custom exchange rate and you can change the exchange rate. Right, like that, you can enter supplier payment. When you enter this supplier payments, your trade payable will debit and your bank will credit. Okay, your trade payable will debit, your bank will credit. After you enter supplier payments, you can view that list of supplier payments. And here also you can search payments. You can filter payments. You can sort by multi-column. Like this, you can sort. And also if you want to print or delete, you can print or delete from here. And from actions, you can preview details, you can preview summary, you can print details, you can print summary, or you can edit or delete these transactions. If you have permission to edit or delete, you can edit or delete this transaction. Okay, next we will move to allocate payments. Now, when you generate your supplier outstanding report, you can generate your supplier outstanding report from suppliers reports, supplier balances days outstanding, and you can select detail and view report. Now here you can see some customers has plus values and minus value. Okay, you can see plus and minus values. Now, if you enter any supplier advance payments, okay, sometimes before some suppliers may request advance payment before deliver goods. In that case, you will enter supplier advance payment. Or sometimes when you enter supplier payments, you will forget to select supplier invoice. Okay, when you enter supplier payments, you will forget to select the supplier invoice. Furthermore, when you are entering supplier returns, you may forget to select supplier invoice. In that case, when you are generating your supplier outstanding report, that supplier payments and supplier invoices will display in the supplier days outstanding report. Okay, now these plus values are supplier invoices, minus values are returns or payment values. So if you haven't allocate your payments or supplier returns to invoice, system will display both invoices and payments in the supplier outstanding report. Now, when you are generating supplier outstanding report, your system display that both invoices and payments. It's a little difficult to analyze your outstanding. Therefore, you need to allocate that payments to invoices. Now, however, when you are enter transactions such as payment time or return, when you are entering supplier returns, if you forgot to allocate that invoices, you can allocate from this supplier allocations. Okay, you can allocate from supplier allocations. You can go to suppliers, transactions, allocate payments, and from here you can select your supplier and refresh. Then system will display unpaid invoices and unallocated items. Okay. From here, you can just drag and drop and you can allocate your payments. Okay, like that, you can allocate your unallocated items to invoices. Now, there are a few options. First one, show outstanding only. Now, if you tick this show outstanding only tick box, system will display only outstanding invoices. Okay, if you tick this option, system will display only outstanding invoices. If you untick this option and if you refresh, system will display all invoices for this supplier. Okay, now you can see the side first, the second invoice. Its total value is 8,100. Due amount is 0. Due amount 0 means that invoice already paid. So those are already paid invoices. Now, if you want to view only show outstanding invoices, you can tick this option and you can refresh. Okay, right. Next, there are 3 display options. First one, all invoices. Second one, invoices between. And third one, specific invoice number. If you select first option, all invoices, system will display all outstanding invoices. Okay, if you select first option, display all invoices, system will display all outstanding invoices. Next, invoices between. Now, if you select invoices between, then this date options will activate. Okay, if you select this invoices between, this date values will activate, and you can select date range from here. Then and refresh. Then system will display invoices between this period. Right. There's another option, specific invoice number. If you enter any specific invoice number, system will display only that invoice. Okay. Like that, there are three options: all invoices, invoices between, and specific invoice number. If you select all invoices, this date values and specific invoice number values will inactivated. If you select invoices between, this date values will activated. And if you select specific invoice number, this specific invoice number will activate. Okay, right. Next, you can allocate your unallocated items. Now, you can just drag and drop to from right side to left side, and you can allocate. Now, first invoice due amount is 17,280. I'll allocate this 100 payment. Now you can see due amount will reduce to 17,180. Like that, you can drag and drop. And when you are drag and drop, when you select that payment, you can see it's a red color. And if you drop to any invoice in left side, color will change to green color. Okay. Now you can see color will change. Like that, you can drag and drop. And if you have more invoices or more receipts or payments, you can drag and drop to here. You can allocate one payment or more than one payment to one invoice, or you can allocate one payment to more than one invoice. Okay, we have that 50,000 payment. I drag and drop to left side, and now balance decreased to 40, unused amount decreased to 41,680. Here this invoice balance or due amount change to 0. Like that, you can allocate one payment to one invoice, or more than one payment to one invoice, or you can allocate one receipt to more than one invoices. Okay, like that, you can drag and drop and you can allocate. Now, by mistake, if you allocate to different invoice, you can again drag and drop to right side. Then that amount will again unallocated. Okay, now you can see this due amount again changed to 86,400. Okay. Here also just increased. Like that, you can again drag and drop to right side. Okay, now we have 50,000 payment. We have allocated to this invoice and this last invoice. However, we want to allocate any particular amount. Now, for an example, from that 50,000, we need to allocate 10,000 for this third invoice and 40,000 for last invoice. Okay, you want to allocate 10,000 for third invoice and 40,000 for last invoice. Now, if we drag and drop here, we cannot correctly allocate that specific amount. Therefore, we can use this split unallocated item amount. Okay, if you want to allocate a specific amount, you can use this split unallocated item amount. Now you can drag and drop this 50,000. You want to allocate only 10,000. When you drop this payment to this invoice, system will pop up a message, value, please enter the value. Now we want to enter 10,000 because we are allocating only 10,000 for that invoice, and click OK. Next, we need to allocate 40,000 for this invoice. Drag and drop that payment to this invoice. Message will display, please enter value. We want to allocate 40,000. Therefore, we will enter 40,000. Click OK. Now you can see that payment not available here. And from these invoices, for third invoice, it has reduced 10,000. And last invoice, it has reduced 40,000. Like that, you can allocate specific amount. And also, if you want to allocate more than that, now for an example, 10,000 for this first invoice, 5,000 for this invoice, 25,000 for this invoice, and 10,000 for last invoice. Like that, you can allocate specific amounts. After that, you can save. Like that, if you haven't allocated your payments to invoice, or when you are enter supply returns, if you haven't allocated your return to invoice, you can use this allocation or supplier allocation transaction. Okay, allocate payment option you can use. From this allocate payments, there's no any accounting transactions. It's just allocate your unallocated items. Okay, and also it's better if you have any unallocated items for allocate, because when you generate your supplier outstanding report, if you haven't allocate any payments, it will display that payment and invoice separately. Therefore, it's better if you can allocate if you have any unallocated items. Okay, next we will move to supplier adjustments. Okay, now sometimes when your users enter transactions, they may enter incorrect transactions. So sometimes due to audit entries, or you need to change your supplier balances. Okay, in that case, you can use these supplier adjustments. From these supplier adjustments, you can increase or decrease your supplier balances. Okay, now you can enter supplier adjustments from suppliers transactions, supplier adjustments, and click add supplier adjustment. From here, you can select your supplier, and after that, system will display balance, supply balance. From effect, you can select increase or decrease. Now, if you want to increase your supply balance, you can select increase, or if you want to decrease your supply balance, you can select decrease. And if taxes available for this transaction, you can select tax rate. And from this by affecting account, you can select the correct GL account for this correction transaction. Okay. After that, you can enter that reference number for this transaction, and you can enter amount you are increasing. If taxes available, total will calculate, and you can enter description, comments, and you can process this transaction. Okay. If you increase your supply balance, or if you select increase, supplier balance will increase by this amount. Okay. Next, if you want to decrease, you can select decrease, and you can enter the amount. And if you want to allocate this amount to any particular invoice, you can allocate. Okay, like that, you can increase or decrease your supplier balances. Okay, you can go to suppliers, transactions, supplier adjustments, and you can select supplier, select effect, increase or decrease, and select tax type by affecting account, enter amount, and you can process this transaction. So then by this amount, this supplier's balance will decrease. After you enter supply adjustments, you can view your supply adjustments from this supplier adjustments grid. Here also, you can customize this grid, and you can search, you can filter by multi-columns, and if you want to delete, you can delete, and from actions you can edit or delete these transactions. And in these transactions also, if you have foreign suppliers, if you select that foreign suppliers, system will display exchange rate. Okay, now we have completed these supplier transactions. You can practice these transactions, and next session we will start supplier reports. Okay, thank you very much for your participation. Have a pleasant evening.